So in my opinion, libertarianism is really idiotic.
Yay, opinion! Let's see what leaps of logic he comes up with.
It's based on a lot of really foolish beliefs. Number one, that the market somehow has magical self-regulating properties.
The market doesn't regulate, consumers do. People don't buy stuff they don't like.
That the market can regulate itself without help from the government. And I've asked them why they think this, and this is what they tell me. They say that if a corporation acts poorly, that the people will find out about it and the people will not buy their products, and therefore corporations won't act badly and the market will regulate itself. This all sounds good, I guess, if you're a 12-year-old and you've not observed the world as we live in at all. But in the real world we live in, that's simply not possible. People are stupid.
So let's have a government where we elect a small number of stupid people to protect us. That'll fix it.
People are dumb, ignorant, lazy-minded monkeys. They go to work 8, 9, 10 hours a day. They come home, do their chores, go do their dry cleaning, wash their clothes, clean their houses, wash their cars. They just want to watch a little TV, play a little video games, meet a girl, have some sex. They don't have time to sit around and research every product they buy before they buy it.
They don't have to. Other people could do it for them. That's how ratings and reviews work.
Nobody does this. And that's evident if you just look at companies like BP. How much oil did BP dump into our oceans?
If only they were regulated. Oh wait, they were. But no, we need more, and that would magically change things. 80,000 pages of regulations didn't work, but 80,001 will totally work. Giant corporations like BP who pollute wouldn't exist without the legal protections afforded to them by the government. Did you hear me? The only reason BP exists is because they are protected by the government. Under real capitalism, their business would be subject under the free market and would fail because of what they do to the environment. I find it funny you think we're smart enough to vote in rulers who will rule over us, but don't think we're smart enough to vote with our wallets and choose what businesses being around is best for society. So I'm smart enough to vote in a ruler who gets to selfishly make all the rules and sell us out to the corporations and allow corporations to keep out competitions, but I'm not smart enough to choose my own deodorant and decide which deodorant company should be around and which one shouldn't. Makes sense? Just kidding, it fucking doesn't.
And they have the highest profit margins they've ever had.
Maybe because a lot of people are idiots like you and rely on the government to fix the problem. Something that'll totally happen. 80,001 pages wasn't enough? Damn it, try 80,002 pages. I swear that'll work.
The market does not regulate itself. It cannot regulate itself, and the thought that it can is totally idiotic.
Because undesirable companies stick around forever. That's why Blockbusters and Borders sit on every street corner.
The truth is, if you're paying attention at all, people are terrible. They're terrible, selfish assholes who would do whatever they can to get over their fellow man, just even a little bit.
That's why we take a small group of them, call them government, and give them power to violate other people's person and property at will. Duh.
And that's why we have to have an organization that protects the people against each other and against corporations.
Spooky, scary businesses send shivers down your spine.
Against unbridled capitalism.
Spooky, scary capitalism sends shivers down your spine.
Because when you have unbridled capitalism, you have everything is broken down into a dollar sign.
Morality isn't. Capitalism is based on respect for person and property.
That means every one of your lives is broken down to a dollar sign. And there are people that will break your entire life down into a dollar sign in a heartbeat and not think anything of it if you let them. That's why you have to heavily regulate these corporations.
Spooky, scary businesses send shivers down your spine. After that, what kind of regulations? Willing to tell me that? What will be the 80,003rd page of regulations that'll bring us utopia? Let me guess, it doesn't fucking matter. A politician could wipe his ass with a piece of paper and pass it as law, and you'll be happy because you have your safety blanket.
To make sure they're not feeding on our society. People are always complaining that corporations have bought our government. The reason that they're allowed to do that is not because of too much regulation, it's because of too little regulation.
80,004 pages of law, and I swear the lobbying will stop. It's not like politicians like free money coming their way. Remember, the market is spooky and needs regulating by the politicians who are without any regulations and whom are totally trustworthy.
There should be so much regulation against corporations lobbying our government that there's no way they could do it.
Okay, think about this for a second. If the corporations are in bed with the government, why the fuck would you want more government? That makes no fucking sense. It's the dumbest thing I have ever heard.
But there should be government-run watchdogs who keep a constant eye on every corporation to make sure they can't get their dirty money anywhere near our politicians.
Yes, government is magic. Once people enter it, they stop being greedy and actively start working against their own interests.
We need more regulations, not less.
Little known fact, if you repeat something over and over, it becomes even more true than it was before.
less regulations is unfettered capitalism, it always, always, always leads to corporatism.
How the fuck does a freer market lead to corporatism? Corporatism requires government hand in the market, and if you remove that government hand, that literally removes the corporatism.
I mean, how could it not? If there's no regulations to stop these people with all this money from buying the government, then that's exactly what they're going to do. Obviously, you have to have regulations to stop them from doing that, and it is the government that has to implement these regulations.
But what you don't understand is under an anarcho-capitalist and libertarian system, there is literally no government to buy. Therefore, it eliminates all chances of corporatism from occurring, and the government can't sell your rights away to the corporations. Yes, that's right. The government is selling your rights away to the corporations, and you blame capitalism. Fucking beautiful.
They're the only organization capable of doing this. Corporations would do whatever it takes to make money. So let's say a company does something that harms our environment, that kills a bunch of people. Well, if they can pay those people off cheaper than they can fix the problem, then that's exactly what they'll do.
Almost as if there are regulations that tell them that they have to pay a token sum of money instead of being tried for property damage and manslaughter like the rest of us.
Your life is a dollar sign to them. This is exactly what unfettered capitalism is. This is why we need regulations.
Little known fact, if you repeat something over and over, it becomes even more true than it was before.
Libertarians don't want the government involved in anything. For somehow they convince themselves that the government is evil. But government is not evil. Okay, just because our government is broken does not mean government is not useful.
Okay, listen to this. 80% of prisoners are non-violent offenders. Not evil, my ass.
Well, there's a reason that every country in the entire world has a government.
Yeah, ignorance. Every country in the entire world had monarchy, slavery, all sorts of horrible shit.
Government is very necessary. And you can ask them directly, what happens to people that don't have enough money? What happens to people who weren't lucky enough to be rich? What happens to the poor who can't afford their life-saving medical procedures and can't find charity to pay for it?
Why wouldn't they be able to afford it? They'd be living under libertarianism, and they would be paying zero to hardly any taxes, and would have significantly more money than they would today. Hence, they would be able to afford it.
What happens to those people? And the libertarian response, literally, is fuck them. Oh well, they're just unlucky. That's evolution, survival of the fittest. Fuck them, they're just going to suffer and die.
What happens to everyone once your universal healthcare scheme collapses under the weight of the debt like Greece? Fuck them as well, I guess.
And to me, that's an indefensible position. Fuck that. There's plenty of money to go around, man. This concept of money is an invented concept anyway. We just fucking invent it. They just print the goddamn dollar bills. There's plenty to go around. There are people with fucking billions of dollars in their bank. Billions! Even if you took 98% of their money, they would still have so much money they couldn't spend it 10 lifetimes. There's plenty of fucking money to go around for everybody. So the people that think that the greater good is really done by having no taxes taken from these rich people.
You know what? In 2010, according to the Congressional Budget Office, the 1% paid 24.2% of all income taxes. You heard right, the 1% is paying 20% of taxes. That small percentage of people, only 1%, is paying 20% of taxes. The 20% paid 68.8% of all income taxes. That's right, the top 20% of people pay 70% of taxes, and the bottom 40% only paid 4.2% of all income taxes. Those rich people aren't paying any taxes at all, am I right?
Let them suck as much money out of the system, completely unregulated as they possibly can.
Yes, a system with 80,000 pages of regulations is completely unregulated. What you don't understand is what's making these people filthy rich is all these government regulations. They do nothing more than cut out the competition. You are asking for more government regulation, but that's what's making the poor poorer and the rich richer.
And fuck anybody else who falls victim to this scam. I think that is an awful dogma. An awful dogma. And I have absolutely no problem standing up to you libertarians and telling you that. These libertarians, literally, they want to get rid of public education. They think everything should be privatized, even schools. They literally want to take the education of our children and turn it into a contest to see who can make the most money off of.
Competition thrives innovation. That's the problem that we have with public schools, is there is no competition. There is no innovation. People just are lackluster.
That's the most fucked up thing I can imagine. The education...
Really? I think being forced to a school that wastes money like Charlie Sheen snorts cocaine to learn things you'll never wanted to learn or will never use is a little more fucked up than that.
Children should not have anything to do with profit margins. It shouldn't fucking be about that. It shouldn't be profitized. And if you actually look into the core Libertarian Party beliefs, they only want education for those who can afford it.
Yes, capitalism is known for keeping things unaffordable, hence why Dusty couldn't afford a camera or a computer, something that used to be a luxury.
They claim they're going to give tax breaks to certain families to help them pay for school, But many poor families don't pay enough in taxes where these tax breaks would make any difference to them. So they would not be able to afford this education without government subsidization, which libertarians are completely against.
Okay, we don't want government, meaning we don't want taxes. If we don't want taxes, that means you will have tons of surplus money, and you can afford private education easily.
So basically, if you're really poor and your parents can't afford to send you one of these private schools, fuck you. You don't deserve it, according to libertarians. If your parents aren't rich enough, aren't lucky enough to make money, then you're worthless. You do not deserve to have your education paid for by any other system.
So what, donations don't exist? People are not wealthy enough or smart enough to just give people money, but they're smart enough and wealthy enough to get taxed and have that money forcefully taken from them via violence from an authoritarian government that frequently kills people for nonviolent crimes.
Every successful person, everybody that made money because the system was created that allowed them to make money. An entire system formed by taxpayers, the people that came before them, was built up to allow them to make the money that they can make.
Peasants, you should give your lords 40% of your crops. You only managed to have successfully planted them because the system of feudalism protected you.
But now they don't want to pay taxes anymore. We got ours. Fuck you. Look, folks, you have to pay back into the system that benefited you.
Little known fact, if you repeat something over and over, it becomes even more true than it was before.
If you don't pay back into that system, you fuck it up for everybody else who comes after you. It actually benefits you to pay back into the system because it makes the system better for everybody.
Yay, more drone strikes.
And if things are better for everybody, it's better for you too. It makes the entire system as a whole better. A rising tide lifts all sails.
Rising tide lifts all boats. Not all boats have sails.
So to be honest with you, I find libertarianism to be the most cuntish selfishness you could ever imagine.
Little known fact, if you repeat something over and over, it becomes even more true than it was before.
We should be taking care of each other. We should be looking out for each other.
That's not your actual position. You want the government to take care of you while you scratch your balls.
We should be providing our citizens with free health care and free education. We should have a safety net for the poorest among us.
That safety net will quickly become a hammock which falls down under its own weight. And why can't the safety net be in the form of donations, something that won't crash and burn?
Yes, the government's fucked up. Yes, I'm aware of this. It's incredibly fucked up. But just because it's incredibly fucked up does not mean it's unnecessary.
It doesn't only mean it's not necessary, it means it doesn't work, bitch.
Because it's incredibly fucked up doesn't mean we can't fix it.
It can't fix anything if it's the problem.
In my opinion, the government's job should be to maximize the happiness of its citizens.
So I guessed right, didn't I?
Whatever it has to do that, to make sure the people that live in that country are as happy as they could possibly be.
Yay! Mandatory heroin injections for everyone.
And if that means taking a few more percentage from really, really rich people to make sure we pay for education and health care for all our citizens, that is obviously the greater good. The rich people will still be incredibly rich.
Just as the Greeks.
Their lives will not be harmed at all, not even in the slightest. And those of you who do not believe the greater good is done by doing this, I disagree with you.
Oh good, we disagree. How about you stop trying to force your beliefs onto me?
I think both you conservatives and you libertarians are cut from the same cloth. I think you're on the wrong side of history. I think your policies are idiotic. And I have no problem standing up, looking you guys right in the idea, and telling you why. Logic.
Wait, what logic? I didn't hear any.
When it's time to judge my soul, when it's time to pay that toll.